This is 37th Street Radio and TV, and of course, we are out here hooking up with the best of the best when it comes to interviews. And today we have another special guest. So, guest, please just introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Nathalie. I am a fashion enthusiast. I'm also a fashion designer and a creative designer. Yes.
Yeah, so digital creator, fashion consultant. I've also seen PA, marketing, and creative director. So, all these things, what came first?
I think what came first was creative designer and fashion designer, because after my high school, I did a short course in fashion and started my own brand called NMV that was mostly made for African prints for ladies to make them feel comfortable in their own skin. That was something I was doing in Uganda, but when I moved to Kenya for studies, I had to put a stop to it. But then when I moved to Kenya, I got to learn the skill of creative directing. That is when I started an online store called Mavani, which is currently running and is where I currently practice the fashion consulting and creative directing. Yeah.
So, I just want us to talk about now fashion consulting. So, for guys who maybe they don't know, what does that mean? What does it entail? Like, what do you do as a fashion consultant?
Okay, so you know how those times when you're that one friend in the group who your friends look at to what to wear, like someone, it's time for a party, or it's you guys want to go somewhere and it's you, they ask, what should I wear? Does this look good on me? Does this, because you have mastered the skill of putting pieces together, which is not easy. It's not so easy to put an outfit together and really look good, and not only on your body but on other people's body. It takes a bit of mastering and also passion, you having the passion for fashion. So that is basically what I do. Even with the online store I run, some clients will ask me for advice on what to shop according to how they look or their body type or their skin color. They'll ask me, what do you think will look best on me? So that is basically what I do. Even like photographers who would want to do a concept somewhere and they need styling for that concept, they'll come and ask you what fabrics, what print, what what cultural dressing should be best on to do this concept. That is basically fashion consulting. And I think it's something out there as young people, we should learn that it's something we can monetize to get a bit of money. Because as I said, it's not easy to put a few outfits together for them to look good, you see. So that is basically what fashion consulting is. Yes.
So, had you always wanted to do something to get a career in this fashion side, or was it just the interest grew up when you were an adult?
No, fashion is something I've always wanted to do. It's something from childhood, like from day one. It's something I've always wanted to do. But then in our generation, it was so hard to convince my parents that, okay, you know what, I finished high school. Let me just do something fashion best for uni and then try and build a career around that. Like, oh no, we've not seen so many successful fashion designers so far, especially for my country, Uganda. No, there aren't any successful fashion designers. So I had to, find a way that both of us can find ourselves in the middle. So I did my short course. I had a dead year after a gap year, sorry, after high school. I did a certificate in fashion. So when I joined uni, I'm now doing a bachelor's in commerce in marketing and entrepreneurship, meaning after uni, I can be able to practice the marketing and entrepreneurship in the field of fashion. So that in a way convinced them that I'll find a balance. That even if they want to find me working in an office, they'll find me working in the office of my own firm, in my own fashion firm. So fashion is basically something I've wanted to do since childhood. I remember in high school, like on talent days and everything, I would be the one to come up with costumes, outfits for everyone. Even in my daily life, even at school, like I usually make sure that even if, okay, I'm not a late comer, but I make sure that even if the grades are not all that good, at least I look good. You know what I mean? So looking good is something that is part of me. Yeah.
When you look at the knowledge that you have in fashion, can you say most of it is the knowledge that you were taught in school, as you have said, you did a certificate, or is it just knowledge that you yourself, you taught yourself, maybe by YouTube, by just Googling, by just doing your own research about people? Like, where did you get this knowledge from?
Okay, so I think putting aside apart from the fashion, I think for every designer to identify yourself, you must have a niche, or you must have that styling, that one unique thing about you. Because if I was to base on like the research or the things I learned in school, because in school they'll teach you the general things. They teach you how to sew, how to draw a pattern. Even research will just show you what other designers are doing. They'll show you what you generally need to know in fashion, like the basics, how to style this and this. But as a fashion designer, you must have that unique thing about you. And it's that unique thing that I think brings more light into that interest that you have to be a fashion designer. Because, like, for example, you see how I'm wearing this leather coat and this vest, you might find there'll be a fashion designer who'll be like, okay, I like that, but if it was me, I would have gotten rhinestones and put them on that leather jacket, or instead of a vest, I would have put on a turtleneck. Just like how we see Kanye has a signature look for his clothesline, and if you compare him to another fashion designer, the other fashion designer will have another signature look. So they're both great, but they all have something unique about them. So whatever we learn from school, from research, from Googling is all basics. But as a fashion designer, I believe all fashion designers have that unique look, or that something that makes them unique from others. Yeah.
When you look at your work, what can you say influences you the most? Is it music? Is it maybe movies? Is it just our African culture? You just look at the African culture and it inspires your work. Where can you say you get the inspiration from?
I think for me, it's the stories in life. For example, I think for me, what basically motivates me to look good is my weight, or the things I got told about how I look and about my weight, or how insecure I've always felt. So, because of my insecurities, I got pushed to make sure that instead of me covering up my insecurities, I am finding a way of making them look good. Just like how you can get an old book and you just cover it up. I said no to that. I told myself, yes, I might not look good, but I'm going to find a way of covering it up in a creative way. I'm not just going to go and get big dresses and cover up my body that I feel insecure of. I'm going to find a way of covering it up with an amazing dress, something unique that even if I'm hiding something, it's packaged very well. So usually if I'm working with someone, I want to ask you, like, how do you feel? What is your story in life like? What do you want your outfit to say? Because I believe it's things like that that create that help us to be more creative, that help us find a line of how we want to look, or like that there's some things in you that you just want to scream out. For example, like you want to show happiness but you can't. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but yeah, I basically use stories to communicate my style. Yeah.
So, do you have any fashion? Who is your fashion icon, or maybe a designer that you look up to? You are usually like, this guy usually comes up with very good concept. Who is that guy? Or maybe you don't look up to anybody.
Honestly, I won't lie if I have any names in my mind, but most black fashion designers really do inspire me. Like I see, especially those that use the African culture. to design their outfits. I haven't mastered their names, but also like for example, most of the designers that did the collection for Beyonce's recent album, the Lion King movie, like there's one from Ethiopia who was using cowrie shells, and the way she designed them was just unique. And for example, like people in Mombasa or people at the coast, those are shells that you find just lying everywhere, but no one has ever picked them up to turn them into a cloth like that. And that really inspires me. Like, I just feel like Black women in general, what they're doing with fashion right now. For example, there's one called Imani, I guess. She it's just beautiful. What, and especially now that they are including so many sizes, I feel like most of the Western fast fashion brands have excluded sizes of people who are like 2XL, 4XL. But these Black women do understand us. They do understand that we have different bodies. Bodies grow, bodies slim down. And I love the fact that they have included all of them. So I think for that question, many Black women in the industry right now are motivating me. Yes.
Yeah, I just want us to also to touch on your vision, like in the long run. What do you want to achieve from this fashion game?
Okay, so for me, I just want to achieve a society, especially in East Africa, that combines the forgotten in the rural areas and we, the people who have at least gotten the chance to exposure to this industry in the West, in the urban areas, to come to like through that society to come together and build a company that will help have to help have outfits that we are producing in our own East Africa to be bought outside. For example, like you see so many, if you go to like the rural areas, you'll find that the skills that so many women have either plaiting hair or sewing clothes or something to do with food. So I wonder, why do we spend so much money buying clothes from like fast shops outside there, yet we have the crops, because so many materials come from crops. And for example, in a country like Uganda, we have so many fertile soils that can help us grow these crops. Yeah. So why don't we invest in coming up with industries to produce these materials, yet we already have the accessible labor? And through that labor, through providing us labor, we're going to be able to solve problems like unemployment. If we had to decide to build such factories in like rural areas, we're able to have these areas developed. So I think for me, I just want to have a company that will source labor from rural areas and be able to source material from East Africa itself and have these clothes produced in East Africa itself and have our market to be even in the East, even in the West, like the Western countries. So I think I just want to have production in Africa and market from outside, just to solve so many issues that we are dealing with right now.
Let's talk about East Africa and in terms of fashion. Do you think we are in the right place? Do you see hope? Because other industries, this is a very big industry and guys are investing billions and billions of money. So you just looking at East Africa, what is going on? Do you think we are at the right place? Do we have hope? Is there hope? Hello, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Power went off.
So we were just talking about East Africa, and I was asking you, do you think we are at the right place, or do you see any hope for African fashion designers and consultants like you?
Yeah, so I really think it's on a promising pace right now, because I'm seeing the young generation, like our generation, really putting its foot down and putting its level best into developing this industry. Like for example, in Kenya, I feel like in Kenya it's really, really promising. I see photographers, content creators, fashion designers coming together to work together, and I feel like that is the way to go. If I say for Uganda, I think people haven't mastered the art of us building each other. So if people don't really rely on each other to grow, people are kind of proud. They feel like if I'm to work with you, I'm kind of on a higher level than you, you're on a low level. But in Kenya recently, I saw the Google event that happened, and I saw young creators, younger photographers all coming together to work together, and I felt like that was good because we're not looking at like how many followers I'm having, who I have worked with, but everyone is seeing a bright future in the other, and I think that's what matters. So I think if we are to spread such a culture all over, we shall move from the promising stage to the performance, where now we shall just be performing, doing our level best to reach out there. And I think I'm not so sure about the funding, but I think right now there are so many incubators coming in, calling creators and fashion designers to come up and have these sponsorships to work together. Yeah, but I think at this pace, it's promising. Yes.
I also want us to just touch on you being the creative director, Mavani Kenya. So how did that opportunity even come about?
Okay, so when I just stepped into Kenya, I knew I had to find a way of making money because that Kenya is quite expensive. So I looked on what I could do, and obviously, since I love fashion, I was going to do something related to fashion. So I looked into drop shipping, did some research, and I realized that I could do an online store, an online drop shipping store. So of course, if I'm not the supplier, I have the only position I can do is be the creative designer. So I realized there are a few stores that do the same thing. So that's when I knew I had to put a pinch of being a fashion designer and make sure what I post on my page is unique. So that's why I call myself a creative director, because I had to make sure I had to differentiate my store from how it looks, the color schemes, the customer service, how good it is, the marketing approach that I take, all that I use for it to make sure that it's different from other stores. Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you have learned in your journey, just doing what you have been able to achieve? What are some of the lessons that you have learned and you really wish that even if you meet someone, you can advise them, do this, do not do this, pay attention to this, do not pay attention to this?
I think believing in yourself. There are times that come and you just lose hope and you feel like, oh, maybe what I'm doing is not right. So you start looking at what other people are doing, then you change your concept. That really does happen. But I feel like the moment you leave what you stand for and start following what other people are doing, you find yourself losing. So sometimes I wish from the beginning, from the very start, I believed in myself and just stood for the times when I lost direction, stood strong to my designs and what the concepts I had. I think I would have been better. Then also seeking for financial advice, like running a business yourself is not easy. I remember all the financial losses I've done, and I wish from the very start I took it seriously and sought for advice from someone who is good at finances, like a financial manager. Even if it was like my classmate, maybe if I looked like among my classmates, one who was good at accounting, and I wish I would have asked them to help me manage finances. And I think it really would have solved a lot, because running a business based on your passion is not easy. At some point, you have to look at other concepts that come with it when you're working with other people, finances, even the legal part. Because there's a time I didn't know about taxes, so I took so many risks and put myself in a very hard position because of taxes. I wish I really sought out advice for financial management. Then also, learning the basics and setting rules when working with other people. I feel like people will step on you, people will use you for your creativity and then just dump you. And people, because of working with people who don't really understand you, you might find yourself going in another direction from where you were supposed to work. For example, I had a friend of mine who was in China, and when she saw my store, she was like, "Oh, hey girl, could I send you a few of my things you'd be selling on your store?" But whatever she was sending was not in line with what I post or with what I do. So because I felt like I didn't have the guts of telling her that, I found myself.
Just continue. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me, yeah? Oh, sorry. Yes, so I found myself just getting myself into wrangles with her and disagreements, yeah. So I think standing firm in what you do, especially when you're working with people, if it's a no for you, it's a no for you. If it's a yes for you, then you can go for that. Yeah.
As we are finishing up, I just want you to finish by talking to guys who are starting out. They are busy doubting themselves. They don't know where to start. What can they do?
Okay, so I think for people like that, and I feel like that's where we all began from, you just have to do it. Because if you don't do it, it's going to haunt you, and there's nothing worse than regret. So I've had people complain, oh, the finances, but then we eat every day, we spend money on transport every day, we go out once in a while. So I think save what you can, yeah, and then just